Zach, we want to talk about campaigning. Campaigning, when we talk on Clever Pig, is broader than just Olympic campaigning. It's any kind of concerted effort to have a schedule and to go about sailing with goals in mind. So, when we're talking to experts, what is the biggest thing to keep in mind when you begin a journey, whether it be an Olympic campaign or a summer sailing campaign? What's sort of step one to getting started with that?
It's a good question because when you're setting up a campaign, you have to be focused on what the end goal is, and a lot of people are afraid to kind of put that end goal out there. They're afraid of what other people think, or afraid if they don't reach it. The reality is that a lot of goals that you set you don't reach, but it's the process of going through it and the learning lessons that you have, going through the process of trying to reach that goal that makes you a better sailor, better athlete, better person, better everything. As long as you take the learning lessons, as you're going along, you accept them and you try to get better every day. As far as goal setting and stuff goes, I mean, you could want to be your local club fleet champion. That could be a goal. You could want to win the Optimus State Championship, or bigger, you could be an Optimus National Champion or Laser National Champion, whatever it is. What's important about a goal is that you give yourself enough time to reach it. If you're finishing 20th or 25th at regattas, the Laser Nationals are in a month, saying you're going to win the Laser Nationals in 30 days is not a realistic goal. So that's also very important, that you set a realistic goal, you give yourself enough time, frame to reach that goal, and then once you set the end goal, then you try to break it down and say, okay, what types of things do I need to work on, so that when I get to whatever event it may be in 6 months or 12 months down the road, what do I need to work on for the next 6 months, or what do I need to work on for the next 12 months, so when I get there, I'm ready to try to achieve that goal. And that's what's important about goal setting.
Thinking back to some of your campaigns, Olympic campaigns, of course, how did you break that down? Give us some concrete examples.
Well, I mean, as far as breaking it down, especially with the Olympic campaign, I mean, obviously our goal was to go to the Olympics and win medals, at the Olympic Games. A big part of that was qualifying for the Olympics, so that was a major goal within the campaign. But then we would have daily goals. I mean, literally down to, I'm going to work on my exits for my tacks today. I'm going to work on my feet work going across the boat. I'm going to work about, how when I land in the strap, how can I get the sail in quicker, into the cleat, in the fin to get the boom down to the deck. You could go out one day and you say, okay, we're going to work on downwinds. Okay, well, just going out and saying I'm going to work on my downwind is too general. You want to say, okay, well, I'm going to work on my down turns. And in my down turns, something that I'm having trouble with is getting the sail out quick enough so that I can maximize my speed during the downturn. That's something I would go out and work on, and that was my goal for the day going downwind, is to make my downturns better. And there was a specific, sub goal or micro goal on that day to make that whole process better. And that's how you really break it down. Every day you go on the water, I would usually have maybe 3 to 5 goals that I would work on, and then once I achieved those, then it was time to go back in and get ready for the next day.
I notice whenever you talk about your campaign and your progress toward the Olympics, you always say we. Obviously, there's more than just yourself involved in your campaign. What role does your coach play?
Well, my coach and the U.S. sailing team, Sperry, and my family and friends and people that I don't even know, help me get there. That's the thing that's amazing about having the confidence to put your goal out there. People say like, wow, this person's really working towards something, and they want to get behind you and they want to help you achieve it. And so that was one of the things I always say we, because I had people that helped me fundraise. I had people that went out on the water with me every day and pushed me. When I was down, they pushed me and bring me up. My family's been a huge support system. Obviously, my sister's a multi-time world champion and Olympian herself, and it's an individual boat that I sailed, but it was far from an individual effort. And without all those people behind you, you can't get there. And that was definitely a big learning lesson. For me, I'm a very strong-willed and stubborn person, and to let other people in to help you, you have to do that. And that was definitely something I had to learn as I went along.
And we're here at the U.S. Youth Championship. I know you do a lot of coaching for youth sailors now. What are some of the lessons that you try to instill along these lines of taking things, one step at a time?
Yeah, so for youth sailing, I think the biggest thing is that everything's going to be okay. I was very serious about my sailing. I mean, I'm still very serious about my sailing. But in the end, you have to realize that, you are out sailing a boat. You're out on the water. You're having an amazing time, hopefully having an amazing time. If you're not having an amazing time, maybe you should rethink what you're doing. The biggest thing is to allow them to embrace the moment that they're in. Whether it be a regatta that they've been, very focused on, or it's just a regatta that they're using for training. They have to, realize the opportunity that they have. And all the kids that are here, like the youth champs, to have the opportunity to come to a national level event, be surrounded by, multi-time Olympians. I mean, there's a lot of Olympians just walking around here. I mean, it's really cool. I think when I was younger, you don't appreciate that as much as you do now. When I'm like 31 now, and it's kind of like, wow, that was really neat. You kind of look back on it and you realize how fortunate you are, and how much of an incredible opportunity it is. And so that's one of the things that I think I try to get all of my sailors, that I'm working with, to try to just take a deep breath every once in a while, look around and go like, this is cool. This is really neat what I'm doing. Of course, a lot of the sailors I work with are higher level sailors that want to go to a Youth Worlds. They want to go and win medals at a Youth World Championship. They have aspirations of going to an Olympic Games. So there's a balance between the fun and the business side of it. And that's very hard to learn, especially, when you're 15 to 22 years old. There's social pressures, and there's girlfriends, and there's boyfriends, and there's all sorts of stuff that you have to control. And that's definitely something that we work a lot on. But the biggest thing about being a youth sailor and having goals and aspirations is I can't teach them the drive. I can't teach them the want, to be better. But if they have that, then we can teach them the techniques. We can teach them how to put it together. But if they don't have it down in here, we can't teach that. We can't put it in there. They've got to have that themselves, and that's probably the most important thing.
All right. Well, Zach, thank you so much for Clever Pig. I'm Chris Love with Zach Railey. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.